Hey guys, welcome to House of Light and Shadows first ever tarot talk. And today what we're going to be talking about is Aquarius season. Now, I'm filming this the day before we enter Aquarius season. At the same time, we're having a full moon in Leo as well as an eclipse. So this Aquarius season, you want to talk about shaking foundations. You want to talk about that Uranus energy of shaking things up right to the core of everything, right? What we're going to do here as we talk about Aquarius season, so this is going to be ultimately a time-stamped reading. But first we're going to talk a little bit about the energies of Aquarius. And specifically what I want to talk about is consciousness, right? Something that is very in line with Aquarius energy. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump right in. What I'm going to do, we're going to do a little talk and then I'll timestamp a mini reading for each of the signs. So once you watch this part, which you kind of have to get what we're going to be talking about in the readings, you can just go ahead and jump into your rising sign and your sun sign and your moon sign if you'd like to get an idea of what energies we're going to be working with during Aquarius season. So what I'm doing here is I pulled 3 cards from the deck to represent Aquarius in our talks here. Of course, we have the Star representing Aquarius, the Water Bearer, right? The Fool, which is traditionally ruled by Uranus, and then the King of Swords, which is traditionally the court card associated with Aquarius. Now, of course, any sword sign, any sword can represent Aquarius, any air sign, but specifically we're using the King of Swords to talk about Aquarius. So what I want to talk about today is consciousness, and more specifically than just consciousness is the burden of consciousness, right? That's something that I think Aquarian people have to deal with a lot, right? We have all the planning and effort and work from Capricorn season, and right before we get to the end of the year, the zodiac year in Pisces, where we have death and transformation and like going into crazy altered states of consciousness and getting all spiritual, we have this spot in the middle where we have contemplation, where we have thought, where we expand our ideas of what is possible. And not only do we expand our ideas, but we kind of put those things into action, right? Aquarius is known as the thinker sign, the inventor sign of the zodiac. Not only do you conceive of big ideas, but you bring it down into reality and make it functional and practical and something that actually is of service to people. So on the note of service, let's talk a little bit about the star, right? Particularly with the symbol of the water bearer. Now, the reason I want to talk about consciousness as a burden is because in the star, right, in the water bearer, you have somebody who is sort of responsible for carrying the sustenance of life and bringing that to people, right? Sort of watering people, giving the truth to people, right? Sustaining life, just like I was talking about the thinkers and the inventors, right? Bringing practical ideas into reality. Now, Aquarius sometimes reminds me of like that cynical, that smart, cynical kid in high school, where you're so smart, you're so perceptive of everything that's going on around you that sometimes it becomes a little difficult to be so bright, right? And that's what I'm talking about, a burden. It takes a toll on a person sometimes to be so perceptive all the time, to be so observant all the time, to always be taking in stimuli from the world around you and turning that around in your head. Now, when we're talking about consciousness here today, the idea of consciousness that I'm using is exactly what we're talking about here in the star, is being in line with your highest ideals, being in line with what your intellect, with what your intuition tells you is the truth. So, for example, somebody who is unconscious is somebody who is turning that part of them off, right? It's like you know better, but you're doing it anyway. You know if you pick up your phone and text that ex in the middle of the night, all that's waiting for you on the other side is pain and hurt. But we turn that off. We turn off what we know to be true sometimes in favor of just not having to deal with the pain and the hurt that causes. So you can see why we might talk about Aquarius as a sign that has like this heaviness of intellect, right? So guys, imagine being this all the time. Imagine being the water bearer. Imagine having this responsibility and burden on your bed. But this star, the star is not a heavy card. It's almost ethereal. It's very lighthearted, especially when we get into the Fool, right? The Fool, talking about it as a burden, it's the exact opposite of a burden. He's lighthearted. He follows his intuition and intellect without thinking twice about it, right? Spontaneity of Uranus, right? The quick changing energy of Uranus. So you have these lofty ideas, right? This high-reaching intellect, this far-seeing idea of life in the world. But then we have the King of Swords. This is where we start to become a little, I don't want to say problematic, but where things get a little complicated. The King of Swords, at his best, represents a sharp mind, a leader who is smart, who communicates well with efficiency and effectiveness and grace, has a sort of maybe harder nature to him, which I love about this deck, where you have like the bear. But ultimately, at his best, is sort of gentle, is sort of a good communicator, is sort of a good leader. Just the way Aquarius, in all that intelligence, often feels driven to take care of people, to provide for people, right? To sort of channel that, all of that energy, all of that intellect into making things better for people, right? Making things better for the world. But the King of Swords also has a dark side, right? This can be somebody who uses their intelligence to be lord power over people, to be a tyrant. This person lashes out angrily at times. This person has a very sharp tongue at its worst, right? And you can see that in what we might call undeveloped or unevolved Aquarius, right? Or Aquarius who are just going through things. So these lofty things in the major arcana that represent Aquarius, grounded in a human spirit, sort of can go both ways, where it can go dark, right? Where it becomes heavy. Now, all of us have this quality, right? All of us choose day-to-day basis how conscious we are going to be or how unconscious we are going to be. And to be honest, sometimes we need a break. I'm in the middle of sober January, and I gotta tell you, sometimes like I realize how much tension we carry in ourselves when we don't have the release of escapism, right? Which is what Pisces season kind of brings, right? It counteracts this conscious energy of Aquarius to sort of lighten things up a little bit. When we're on all the time, when we are constantly thinking, constantly processing, it can become a little heavy. It can become a little hard. And the challenge for all of us this Aquarius season is to learn how to bear that burden of our intellect with grace. Because when we do, we shine, right? Because when we are aligned with what our brain and our mind and our intuition is telling us, what the world around us is telling us, what our observations are telling us, rather than sink into cynicism, we become someone who can help others, right? We become someone who uses our powers like a superhero, right? Uses our power for good in the world. And to Aquarius is watching this, or anybody, that is the way to counteract the sort of burden of what you feel. By giving back, by making things better, by pushing the world into a better place, rather than sinking into this place of despair, rather than choosing to see the world as a place that is fundamentally harsh or bad or wrong. The way that you don't sink into the King of Swords being angry and mean and with this fucking God superiority complex is to recognize that you have this power, to recognize that you have this intellect and this ability to actually do good in the world. And by doing good, you become more light. You become more aligned with these guys, right? You become somebody who is evolving and growing and also like affecting positively the lives of everyone who's around you. So this Aquarius season, I want to challenge everybody watching this to think about the moments when you are turning it off. Think about the moments where you're willingly being unconscious. This sort of unconsciousness, I read this in the book, the seven Pillars of Self-Esteem. This sort of unconsciousness rather, kind of undermines our sense of self-esteem. It makes us question our own ability to make good decisions. It makes us not feel good about making choices. We don't trust our own minds, right? And then how can you feel good about yourself? How can you feel like a powerful person in the world when you don't even trust your own mind, the one thing that we have that enables us to make good decisions, to be human, right? Ground in your humanness, your humanity, right? Be of service to people this Aquarius season. Use your intellect for good. Do not use your intellect for bad. Do not use your intellect to judge people. Do not use your intellect to harm people. Do not use your intellect to manipulate people. Use it to influence people. Use it to push the world into a better place, to be the King of Swords at his best, a beloved, smart, powerful leader who makes everything he touches way better. So what I'm going to do here at this point, we're going to go ahead and timestamp the video. We're going to pull I want to say 3 cards from the deck for each sign, just to get a kind of look at what we can look forward to in this Aquarius season, but also specifically how we can be more conscious and how we can sort of bear that consciousness with grace. Right? So I'm going to start with Aquarius, and then we're going to move through the zodiac. So let's go ahead and see what Aquarius can do this season to be more conscious and also bear that consciousness with grace. Actually, I changed my mind. Instead of doing 3 cards, what I'm going to do is pull one of my tarot cards and then one of the oracle cards. I'll put the name of these decks in the description, and we'll go ahead and just see what we got to look forward to here, guys. So let's go ahead and jump into Aquarius. What advice, insight, and guidance do we have for Aquarius to be more in touch with their consciousness and to bear that consciousness gracefully? The moon. All right, so what this is saying is, like, right now, Aquarius, as we're having a full moon tomorrow, it's important for you guys to really shake yourself loose of all of the things that are holding you back. There's with the moon, and specifically, of course, the moon means a lot of things, but I'm thinking right now in context of the full moon and eclipse tomorrow. There's a lot that is holding you back. There's a lot that is weighing on you, weighing on your subconscious. What this is also saying, I think, Aquarius, is to become more in touch with your subconscious, right? It's easy to be up in the intellect, but now, like, think about your subconscious. Think about your dreams. Think about why you're feeling the way you're feeling when you do. Think about, it's going to be going into your birthday, right? There's going to be a lot of reflection going on this month or this season. So Aquarius, it's a challenge for you to go deep. It's a challenge to go within yourself. You don't even have to share this with anybody else, because this is about you, and this is about what's going on inside of you and how you're growing and evolving within yourself. If you feel a little out of sorts right now, Aquarius, if you're not feeling like your best self, if you're not feeling like your life is on track to what you want it to be, or you feel somehow lost, pay attention to your dreams, meditate, just reflect on where you're at and what you're all about. And I also think it's asking you to also become in touch with your primal nature, to understand that you have, like, needs that need to be met, and everything can't be in service of others. Be a little selfish, I want to say, with your desires right now. Allow yourself to just indulge in the purity of who you are. But this full moon is in the sign of Leo. Leos have no problem with the healthy way that we think about ego, with the healthy way of knowing just what we need. Oh, there's a rainbow. Wow. Sorry, there's a rainbow outside. It's been raining in LA for like a week, and it's been sunny all day, and now I just looked outside and there's a rainbow. How beautiful, Aquarius. You see, it's lightening the spirits, and the way you do that is by going deep. This could be a time for meditation. This could be a time for divination, right? Anything like that is good for you right now, Aquarius. Also, I want to say with the moon, don't take yourselves too seriously. I know that you guys, Aquarius is a sign of paradoxes, right? Sometimes you feel super great about yourself and sometimes not as much. But try to be a little more lighthearted. Try to take a step back from your life. And I think it came up in the January readings actually, but invest in yourself creatively, and invest in your passions, invest in the things that get your soul excited, invest in art and music and those kind of things that stir you up from the inside. It's a good time right now, Aquarius, to go within, and it's a good time to be more conscious in a way by being unconscious. As ironic as that sounds, we were talking about the Fool before, right? The Fool is almost on autopilot, right? He just goes with the flow. He accepts things as they are. He trusts his intuition, and he trusts the cues that are coming from his subconscious. We have more cues that come to us than just our intellectual mind. If your heart is feeling off, if something just doesn't feel right, you have to pay attention to that right now, Aquarius, and take it seriously. Not take yourself too seriously, but take it seriously. And now we have Psyche. I love the way these decks work together. There's such a synchronicity between them. You can even see the moon there. And it's basically the same idea with this. It's about going into your subconscious. Psyche asks us to get in touch with the part of ourselves that is connected to the greater world at large, connected to the sort of undercurrent of life. That water that you guys scoop out of the river to pour into people, you're connected to that. It's like you're connected to the flow. The water is like the flow of energy, the flow of life through the world, and you guys are the ones who can bear it. So trust your instincts right now. This is someone who listens. This is someone who observes. This is someone who pays attention. It's a great time right now, Aquarius, to turn off the analytical mind. And when you get cues, when you get information, just sort of let it process a little bit. Sort of let it stir around inside you a little bit. See what comes of it. See how you feel. See when you go through life, what symbols are around you. Look at life a little symbolically right now. Look at the things that happen to you on a day-to-day basis with a little bit of a symbolic nature, right? It's like the world, it's like the universe is communicating to you right now. And what's good for you right now, Aquarius, is to just listen and to not think about it too much, to not second guess what you're receiving, and just receive and trust that in time the things that are happening will have meaning, and that the meaning will become clear to you. Okay, great. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to Capricorn. Let's see what Capricorn can do this Aquarius season to be more fully conscious and to bear that consciousness with grace. For Capricorn. Capricorn, Pisces. Sorry, let me. Pisces. Let's go into Pisces. You know what? Yeah, let's go to Pisces. Pisces. Let's go ahead and see what we have in store for you this Aquarius season. What you can do to be more connected to your consciousness, what you can do to be to carry that consciousness with grace. What advice do we have for Pisces for this Aquarius season? Three of Pentacles. Okay, so Pisces, what this is asking you, I think, is to really focus on work. And again, I think this was something that came up in the January readings. I say again, but because I just said this with Aquarius, it's kind of relating. Aquarius, Pisces, I keep mixing up the signs. Pisces, this is a good signal that you need to collaborate. I would say a little bit to come outside of yourself, to seek the opinions and advice of people who you trust. and to really focus on what it is that you're trying to build in your life, right? There's almost like a big picture but small picture energy with this card, in terms of we're looking at what you want to create for yourself in the bigger picture, but then it comes down to the minutia of the day-to-day. And I think when consciousness feels heavy for Pisces, what you need to do is sort of split that up into smaller tasks, what you want to accomplish, see the big picture, but then also see day-to-day what it is that you have to do to accomplish that. This is hardworking energy, Pisces. This Aquarius season, it's not a time to just like flee into extreme escapism. It's asking you to stay close to people, to have a support system, to be able to sort of, in a way, I feel like unload the burdens in your mind and in your heart onto the people around you who again, whose opinions you can trust, and whose advice you trust, and who are going to ultimately be a sort of rock for you, and be someone who's going to help you focus on what it is that you want to accomplish in the big picture. Okay, and also I want to say, be really, really fixated on the material things, right? Be very, very fixated, I want to say, on like clean Marie Kondo the fuck out of your house right now. Pay attention to your money, start saving, budgeting. Like it's good for you, Pisces, to have a way to channel your creative energy. And on that note, you know, one of the best things for you guys to circumvent the burden that being as in touch with everything that you guys are, is to be creative, to have a creative outlet, to build something. So whether that's just in a material way, like building a savings account or decorating your home, or if it's actually creating art, this is saying, Pisces, like, be creative, be artistic, express yourself through your material world right now. And that's going to be really important for you for Aquarius season, and then leading into your season where we do get to reconnect with spirit, right? And conflict. So do you see why I would say that it's sort of important for you guys to have a support system now, with conflict coming up as the Oracle card here? You can kind of expect to have difficulties with other people, and it's up to you though, as in how you see the obstacles and the challenges that you're facing this Aquarius season. Do not be in conflict with yourself. Make sure you are super selective on who's around you. Now might be a really good time for you to keep your circle really small and tight. Circle of friends, circle of coworkers, whatever, and invest in those. Invest in a very few relationships right now. Be very careful, Pisces, this Aquarius season with. And I think this is why it's important for you guys to have an outlet, and like whether it's just dumping on your friends a little bit or actually being creative, is that if you don't do that, there's a potential that all that energy is going to come out in some other way, and some other way that I don't think is going to be constructive, and some other way that in the long term you might regret happening. You know, there might be feuds, there might be lashing out at people who maybe deserve it, but who you're going to walk away not feeling like that's really who you are and what you're about. So Pisces, my advice to you this Aquarius season, focus on arts, focus on your material world, be creative, be expressive, and you know, fight for yourself where it's needed and where it's necessary, and trust that your mind is in touch with what is right or wrong. So if you have a perception that someone's fucking around with you, kind of trust that they're fucking around with you, and you don't have to fight them, but just separate yourself from them. If you trust your intuition, trust your instincts right now, especially when it comes to how you deal with other people. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into Aries. Aries, let's see what advice, insight, and guidance we have for Aries this Aquarius season, particularly with regards to being more conscious and bearing that consciousness with grace. Aries. Okay, this one wanted to come out. Two of Wands. Okay, so Aries, now this Aquarius season, it's really important for you to stay in touch with what you know is right about what you need for yourself. So being conscious, right now doesn't always have to mean about being super disciplined. That's not what this card is asking you. It's not saying cut out fun, cut out you know, a little reckless behavior, but what you are being asked to do is to stay grounded in where you want to go, and to make sure that everything you do is aligned with what your ultimate goals are and where you're trying to get to. With the Two of Wands, we're looking to the future, and we're also making choices, and choices that are really an expression of what we need. So Aries, that's where I'm going to say to you here, this season, it's very important for you to pay attention to what you need and pay attention to where you're going, right? Again, if you need to be a little reckless, if you need to, unlike what I said in the video, text that X, maybe do it. If that's what you need to get out of your system, because the cards are advising you guys, for your sign, you do need to be able to express your needs, and you do need to be able, I think, to a little bit revel in or marinate in what you need for yourself. You know, I remember, it reminds me of a time I went to a therapist, actually with my mother, and he told both of us that what we're both really good at is knowing exactly what we needed. So Aries, trust that you know what you need and follow through. That's how we're conscious, right? It doesn't have to be being strict with yourself. It doesn't have to be not making mistakes. Even right now, making mistakes, if it's what you need to do to move on, if it's what you need to do to get past the situation or place in your life, then do it and allow it to just happen. This is the Two of Wands. It's not super serious yet, right? We can make mistakes, we can do what we have to do, but ultimately, Aries, pay attention to your needs. Because right now, I think, Aries, we're moving into a period for you guys where you're becoming more connected to spirit, and you're becoming more connected to the greater feelings of life. And I think that's why getting in touch with this part of yourself is important, because going forward through Aquarius season, there's going to be a lot of impulses, and you kind of need to learn, I think, how to follow those impulses in a way that's productive and in a way that's good for you, in a way that leads to growth, expansion, and development and evolution, right? You guys are the sign of that impulsiveness, and it sometimes it can go wild, but it's your superpower, right? You have this ability to initiate, and that creates the whole life of the zodiac, right? So as we move through Aquarius season, Aries, trust your impulses, right? And almost like a practice, right? It reminds me of anything you practice. I was watching that Marie Kondo show, and she says, like, you hone your ability to know what sparks joy, and Aries, you need to hone your ability to know what you need and follow through with it, as opposed to just being a little wild. Be reckless in the right ways. Be a rebel with a cause, Aries, this Aquarius season, because you have the potential right now to really grow and expand and evolve and develop as a person. And leading up into your season, up into your birthday, that's what we're going to want to see from you guys, right? Okay, so let's go ahead. We're moving into Taurus. Taurus, what do we have? What advice, insight, and guidance do we have for the sign of Taurus for Aquarius season, specifically with regards to how to live more consciously and how to bear that consciousness with grace? Taurus. Eight of Swords. In a way, Taurus, I think you need to turn off that analytical brain of yours. I think that you need to go with the flow. I think a little Aquarius season, it's very interesting that for an earth sign in a season of expansive thought and limitlessness, we have the exact opposite. We have the card of limited thought. So Aquarius, Taurus, this Aquarius season, I think it's advisable to actually pull back. I think it's advisable to not stretch yourself too far out there. I think it's good to actually focus on the minutia for you guys of the day-to-day energies, and not stress, over plan, over analyze about what the future holds, because I think all that does for you is put you in a headspace where you're actually less able to act and less powerful. I think that you guys know what you need. You know how to fulfill those needs, and you know at all times, you know, how to carry yourself through the world. And so Taurus, I think that right now, in this time of like limited thought, in the time of expansive thought, just understand that a lot of things going through your head you might not want to pick apart right now, because not that they're not real, but there's an almost inability to see them in their correct context, and there's an inability to see them in perspective. So I would be very careful, Taurus, this Aquarius season, with extending your thoughts too much, and just allowing yourself to be, and allowing yourself to sit, and allowing yourself to sort of I want you guys to like embrace the coziness of yourselves this season. I want you guys to pull your energy back, pull your minds back, and just I think the advice here would be to enjoy more of the physical parts of life right now, to enjoy in pleasure, to enjoy in your home, right? I think that your mind this Aquarius season could be a little bit dangerous for you guys, right? It's not energy that typically melds well together, and I think that the influence of that, on you guys could be a little hard. So I do advise you to sort of pull back. And then here we have individuation. So interesting that we also have this another sword. What would you imagine Taurus being like? Stick in the mud? Just kidding. I kid with you guys. But do you see how now we have another sword that's just stuck in the ground? This is air stuck in earth. But in this card, what it does is, in individuation, we become closer to ourselves, and we become in that moment more defined in who we are, right? So Taurus, my advice to you this Aquarius season is to sort of turn off the brain a little bit. Like, not to go through life doing stupid shit, but maybe a little bit, actually, right? Maybe the best way for you guys to bear the burden of consciousness is to just like let loose, and to be a little reckless, and to just relax is what I want to say, right? Like just relax, whatever that means to you. If relaxing means going out and having a drink, which it probably does because you're Taurus. If relaxing means going out for a nice dinner, which it probably does because you're Taurus. Whatever that means to you, Taurus, it's time to pull your energy back. It's time for you to get really situated in who you are, and to just enjoy, like, viscerally, physically who you are. Your mind, I don't want to say it's not to be trusted right now, but it has the potential, I think, to go a little cynical and to go a little dark and heavy. And so Taurus, I suggest, like, going through the motions a little bit, having fun, just coming in touch with like who you are, right? What is Taurus like? What does Taurus get? What gives Taurus pleasure, right? Follow your pleasure right now, Taurus. Don't follow what you're planning for yourself. Don't follow your analytical mind right now, okay? All right, so let's go ahead. We'll move into Gemini. Gemini should be a very complementary sign to Aquarius. We are the cosmic BFFs of the zodiac, Aquarius and Gemini. So let's see what insight, advice, and guidance we have for Gemini for this Aquarius season, specifically with regard to how to be more conscious and bear that consciousness with grace. Oh. Okay, Gemini, we have the Devil. Here's what I'm going to say about this, Gemini. This to me is like the embodiment of the burden of consciousness. The Devil or being unconscious rather, right? The devil invites you to sit on his little chair and invites you into the temptations and things that make you weak and take away your power of intellect. Gemini, I'm a Gemini myself. I'm in sober January. It's been really fucking hard, but it's also been really rewarding. So my advice to you for this season is to be very careful of temptation, to be very careful to not let yourself go too dark, to not let yourself just let loose and go wild to the point where you're being self-destructive. I think there's potential this this Aquarius season for Gemini to be a little acting out and not in your best interest. I think that there could be you know, for me personally, I would be afraid of, like, say, you know, it's February 1st and I don't have to be sober anymore, and then just overdoing it, right? Just be very careful, Gemini, about letting yourself go too far in one direction, of escaping the burden of consciousness, of avoiding the allure of unconsciousness, right? For me, my advice that I would give myself in the scope of sober January would be maybe to extend the sobriety even a little more. I'll maybe like stick with, or at least have a balance to it. You see, I'm a Gemini. I can't it's really hard for me to not want to do this, you know what I mean? But Gemini, there's a little danger lurking in you turning off your brain right now. I just talked to Taurus and I said that for them it's actually maybe beneficial for them to not think as much, because their thinking can be critical and analytical. So Gemini, for us, our thinking can lead us the wrong way this season. Our thinking can lead us into dangerous waters. As much as Aquarius energy can be complementary to ours, it can also take us too far out, right? We're not that expansive as we're mutable. We're not fixed energy like Aquarius is. So being so fixed in our opinions, being so fixed in what's supposed to be, could actually be detrimental to us right now. So Gemini, let yourself be lucid. Let yourself not give into too much temptation. Let yourself not slip into the dark side. Let yourself not slip into cynicism, right? I talked in the beginning about Aquarius energy going a little cynical when you know too much. Don't let that happen to you this season, Gemini. Make an effort to stay positive, and I think that's what we talked about in the January reading, was to make sure you are positive. See, because there's a lot of feelings that come with what's happening this season, Gemini. That expansive Aquarius energy might be overwhelming for us at times. It might put us in our feelings. It might make us want to escape in certain ways. It might make us want to bear the burden. Like, the burden is a lot for us, right? Being so on all the time is a lot for us. Gemini, I would say to step back, to take rests this season, to just be in a comfortable space for yourself, and not get too lost in feelings, because you can get very overwhelmed if you overthink what's happening around you. I know for myself right now, I'm looking a lot at, like, what's going on politically, and I just watched this awful video today with these kids, like, harassing this Native American man with their Make America Great Again hats, and it was so hard to see, and it made me angry. And that's where I think we have the danger of going, Gemini, of feeling that anger and feeling cynical and slipping into a place where it's dangerous for us to go, because we don't handle heavy emotions too well all the time. So be careful, like, limit what you see in the news, maybe limit stuff like that, so that you're not, or if you're looking at it, just stay positive and remind yourself of the good that exists, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and slide on into the sign of Cancer. What do we have? Advice, insight, and guidance for the sign of Cancer for this Aquarius season, particularly with regard to being more conscious and bearing that consciousness gracefully. Cancer, Cancer, Cancer. Oof, Cancer, the Lover's in reverse. So I think this is going to be a heavy Aquarius season for you guys too. I just did Gemini, and all that thought was putting Gemini in their feelings, and Aquarius, I think you have to be wary of the same thing. I think that if you've been having troubles or difficulties in your love life in particular, this could weigh on you a lot this season. And I think Cancer, especially with feeling like you might not be in harmony with yourself, and you might not know as confidently who you are and what you're about, and Cancer. So the being too aware, being conscious right now is almost you know, can be detrimental. Like, to see the way he's holding that flaming stick, it's almost like representing the human mind and willpower, and in reverse, like, it's heavy. So it's funny because Taurus, Gemini, and now a Cancer, the Aquarius energy is a little tough, and it's a little it's gonna be a burden. It might make you really sad, Cancer. It might make you feel this season a little out of sorts with yourself and a little out of touch with yourself. My advice would be to you know, enjoy the pleasures of life. Do what you have to do to treat yourself and take care of your mind, body, and soul this Aquarius season, because there's just so much potential here, I think, to slip into a place where you sort of like forget who you are, and you forget what you're about, and you feel like just disconnected from you. So Cancer, be very careful, especially if you're going through hard times in your love life. Be very careful with that bringing you into a place where you start to now, in a way, turn on yourself, and you start to like beat yourself up and feel inadequate and anything like that. Don't go into that place, Cancer, where the things that are happening in your love life, if they're not great, become a reflection of you or your inadequacy somehow, because that's just going to further make you unable to really accomplish what you want and be able to move forward out of this place, right? Anima. So here we have Anima, which represents the feminine principle that lies within all people. All right, Cancer, sorry about that, the video cut off. So what I was saying about Anima, I think, Cancer, this Aquarius season, it's really important for you to take care of yourself. I think it's going to be very important for you to nurture yourself. If you feel angry, if you feel out of sorts with yourself, it's a really important time, I think, to not turn on yourself, to not, you know, they say depression is anger turned inwards, and I think it's really important that you could fall into the trap of picking apart at yourself. And so Anima, I think, is asking you, Cancer, to be gentle, to be kind with yourself, to be forgiving of yourself, and to take care of yourself more than anything, okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the sign of Leo. What insight, advice, and guidance do we have for the sign of Leo this Aquarius season, particularly with regards to being more conscious, and bearing that consciousness with grace? So let's go ahead and look at Leo. Ace of Wands. So Leo, I think that this is asking you to be really fired up. I think that we have to look on the bright side of things, and we have to really take advantage of opportunities that are coming your way. I think, Leo, that you're going to have to kind of assert yourself right now. I think you're going to have to really be aligned with what is right for you, and take those actions. Make strides to accomplish things. Like, use this intellectual energy that's available to you right now to plan for the future and to create opportunities for yourself, and to really forge a way forward for what you're capable of having right now. The Ace of Wands says there's limited and unlimited possibilities for you, only as far as your mind can think. So use your ability to be conscious this Aquarius season, and think very carefully about what you're about. and where you're going, and channel a lot of that energy and fire and passion into getting really worked up about your life, to get really enthusiastic about the opportunities that you have available to you. Aquarius season, I think, is going to bring an expansion of your consciousness and a greater knowing of self, and a greater knowing of what you're about and what you want. So Leo, you got to take advantage of that energy this season, and really use it to move yourself forward, and to really not be limited by what you think is possible, and let yourself be expanded. Let yourself get fired up in whatever way that means to you. I think some of you might be getting, it might require getting a little angry, and use that energy, though, if there is anger, to advocate for yourself, and to advocate for your loved ones, and to channel it in a way that gets you enthusiastic, and gets you further, right? Let this not be useless anger. Let this be productive anger. Let this be something that changes your life and changes your way of being going forward. And then we have Animus. Funny, because the last sign we had before this, for Cancer, they got Anima, which was the female principle in all of us. Here we have Animus, which sort of represents the male principle in all of us. So Leo, doubling down. I love the synchronicity between these two decks. It's amazing. Doubling down, even in her hand, do you see what she has in her hand? A flaming wand. So this is all about getting a little aggressive, not in necessarily a way that is going to just be violent and destructive, but in a way that makes you hustle, makes you defend yourself, makes you stand up, Leo, for what's right. I think that's part of this, right? With the Aquarian energy, we're getting in touch with humanity. We're getting in touch with what we know to be honest and what we know to be true. So Leo, look at your life right now, especially because we have this full moon in your sign with an eclipse starting off Aquarius season. You're gonna have to be very thoughtful about how you stand in the world, what your presence is like in the world, what you do in the world, how you present yourself. And with the eclipse, it's going to have to shake some things free. So you might have to actually take some strong steps this Aquarius season to maybe check some bitches if that's necessary, right? Or at least just be really enthusiastic about what you want and what you're about, and create it, and channel drive, channel force, channel fire into making things happen for yourself. All right, Leo. Let's go ahead and move into Virgo. Let's see what advice, insight, and guidance we have for the sign of Virgo for Aquarius season, specifically with regard to being more conscious and bearing that consciousness with grace. Okay, Virgo. I feel like that really mental energy is going to be uplifting for Virgo. We'll see what comes out here. But when I did Gemini, it was almost overwhelming, where there was this call of temptation. And I'm just thinking about the other mercurial sign, because Gemini and Aquarius go very well together. So I'm curious to see what comes up for Aquarius, for Virgo. Yeah, see, Aquarius, we have Virgo, we have the Four of Swords, which is asking you to take a rest. Like, give that big old working brain of yours a break. When I started in the beginning talking about consciousness, I did say that we do need a break. We do need to take a step back. We do need to kind of let ourselves enjoy it once in a while and be unconscious. It's sort of like a weight off your shoulders. And as a sign that is so analytical, like Aquarius energy and Virgo energy to me reminds me a lot of each other, because they have this hyper awareness of the world and this over intellectualizing actually sometimes of what's going on around you, this very observant energy of the world that sometimes in Aquarius can make a little cynical, but in Virgo can make you a little anxious, a little nervous. And so for this Aquarius season, Virgo, the advice here is to take a rest, to let things go, to not bear the burden of everything on yourself. even if it's loved ones, you have to kind of take a step back, Virgo, and let what happens unfold as it will. Not make yourself responsible for the actions of others, even if it takes seeing a loved one, you know, struggle or go through something. It's okay to help them out, but don't become so involved that their problem becomes yours. This is about taking a step back here, Virgo. This is about letting conflicts take a break. Like, this is a truce card to me, right? Where you can just step back from conflict, step back from difficulty. So Virgo, I think that you need to give that overactive mind of yours a rest. I know that's impossible for Virgo, but figure out ways this Aquarius season to use your mind peacefully. And what I mean by that is like meditate. What I mean by that is read books, right? Watch movies. Let yourself be mentally stimulated, intellectually stimulated in a way that doesn't require like work on your end. Like the way meditation is mentally active, but it's calming. That's the kind of thing you need to get involved with this Aquarius season, Virgo. Not letting the burden of all humanity weigh down so much on you. Yeah, and then here we have gentleness. So you're really being asked here to be gentle with yourself. You're really being asked here to, both of these cards go so well together because it is about letting things go and allowing things to be as they are. Being soft with others, being soft with yourself. Of course, not in a way that lets, you know, toxic things exist, but to be gentle with how you face your life and how you deal with things, right? How you process information, how you think about yourself. This is the second earth sign that I'm doing, and the same thing with Taurus came up, where there's almost a need, because earth signs are so analytical and practical, that there's almost a need, I think, this Aquarius season to just take a fucking step back and relax and not get so worked up about everything, and to just chill, Virgo. This Aquarius season, just chill the fuck out, okay? If you don't, you're gonna burn yourself out, and then you have the danger, I think, of going into Pisces season, needing escapism and needing like your emotional reality, your emotional world getting so bent out of shape. Virgo, you know, with this eclipse and full moon in Leo, it's a great time to release things, and I think it's a little time to release things that are not your problem, okay? Great. So for Virgo, that's a wrap. Let's go on to Libra. And let's see what insight, advice, and guidance we have for the sign of Libra for this Aquarius season, particularly with regard to being more conscious and bearing that consciousness with grace. Libra, Libra, Libra. Okay. Five of Cups. So Libra, that mind of yours could really get you into some emotional trouble. I think that you need to, with this card, really focus on the positive that you have going on for you. Like the other air signs, your active mind can get you into trouble this Aquarius season. Your thinking too much can actually lead you down a road of heaviness and depression. And I think that it's in a way necessary to sort of turn that part of you off. This is actually a recurring theme with a lot of the signs that are coming up, that being so heavy with yourself is dangerous, right? But what I want to say with this also, Libra, is don't drown your sorrows, right? To try to bear your burden gracefully, what you need to do is to bear the burden of your consciousness gracefully is not flee from it. To the exercise here with the Five of Cups is to focus on the good things and to focus on the positive and to focus on what you actually have available to you. It's not to escape the activity of your mind. It's actually to practice dealing with it, to practice positive self-talk, to practice looking on the bright side, to practice positivity. This is a theme with all the air signs right now. Practicing positivity, not getting swamped in your thoughts. Libra, remind yourself this Aquarius season of what you have to offer, and that might even be helpful in terms of actually offering things to people, because when you have an awareness of these two upright cups, now you know like that you have something to offer, and that you know that you have something that's beneficial to other people. It reminds you when you give of yourself to people of what you have for yourself. So Libra, you know, be careful with your mind being in overdrive. Be careful with overthinking. Be careful with especially overthinking that leads you to dwelling on negative things, and to dwell on sadness and reminiscing on things. Really hard to focus on the positive right now. And do not the same thing came up with Gemini. Do not escape into temptation. Do not numb yourself. The challenge here, I think, is to, we have Earth, right? The challenge here is to stay grounded. The challenge here is to live in the world, to learn how to cope with what's going on in your head by exercising the element of Earth, by working out, by eating better, by cleaning out your closet, focusing on your job, right? You need this month to kind of distract yourself, or this Aquarius season, to distract yourself from any kind of sadness that you might be feeling, to distract yourself from the sense that you might be inadequate. You need to really live in the world and come out of this headspace, to come out of this heart space, and to live practically and live in a way that brings you material success and brings you all those kinds of things. We talk about this a lot, Libra, but I think with the Aquarius season, you know, that overactive mind of yours could go astray. So do the things that you need to do right now, Libra, to remind yourself in the real world of what a bad bitch you are. Like go get your hair done. Like Libra, you know, use that Venusian energy of beauty and charm and all that to pamper yourself a little bit, and to feel good, and to like be able to look around your world. Like Libra, is very important for you guys to have like a clean house, to have like a nicely decorated place, because that stuff is going to affect you in an emotional and mental way if it's not. So be very cautious of being swept away by emotions and thoughts. And if you feel yourself going in that direction, Libra, stay grounded and present. Live in the moment right now. Don't look at anything besides what's right in front of your face, and that'll help you stay grounded and focused. Okay. All right, so Libra, let's go ahead and move on to the sign of Scorpio. Let's see what insight, advice, and guidance we have for Scorpio in Aquarius season, particularly with regards to being more conscious and how to bear their consciousness with grace. For Scorpio. All right, thank you. Scorpio. Eight of Wands. So Scorpio, I think you're going to have to get some stuff off your chest. I think you're going to have to communicate with people. The Eight of Wands says that there's things that you need to talk about. So I think that the danger here with you guys is getting too stuck in your head in a way that things build up and build up and build up until you get to the point where you want to lash out. So Scorpio, this Aquarius season, use that energy to have good communication. Use it to connect to people, and say what you need to say. Get some stuff off your chest. Express yourself in the world. Go ahead and if there's a conversation you need to have at work, if there's a conversation you need to have with a loved one, or just a roommate, whatever it is, Scorpio, you're being asked right now to not let that stuff get built up and burn you up and eat you alive, because that's the potential of what could happen here. So Scorpio, you need to be like a channel for air. Like let the air flow through you and out of your throat and out into the world. And so it's not stuck in here and gets caught, right? Like right between the throat and the heart chakra, right? If that energy is just stuck here and it's not being expressed, if it's coming up here and then not going out, you're gonna have the potential for lots of frustration and lots of anger. You need to let the energy flow completely through you and allow you to, and that'll actually allow, I think it'll bring in more energy, it'll bring in more mental awareness, it'll bring in more perception, because you're gonna be noticing a lot Scorpio. You're going to be seeing a lot. You guys are very intuitive and very perceptive. So it's important for you that what you do see, you don't like ignore, distract yourself from. You actually kind of address. And here we go. Fire. You see? Yeah. So Scorpio, it's time to let some shit out. You know what they say, depression is anger turned inwards. Scorpio, do not let, if someone needs to have it, if someone needs to have a conversation, if someone needs to be told something, you need to tell them this Aquarius season. Otherwise, it's going to build up and burn you up to pieces. The Eight of Wands, I think of in reverse, we have fire and fire. This is frustration. This is anger. This is nothing happening, nothing moving. Things are not going to move. Things are not going to flow unless you have the courage and unless you have the passion to defend yourself and to defend your dignity and to speak up about things that are not right, even if it's just in a generalized sense. Like, you want to speak out against something that's happening politically, you want to defend a friend against something that's happening, speak up about something at work, whatever it might be. Scorpio, use your voice this Aquarius season. Communicate like the richness that you have inside you. Let it out, because when Scorpio speaks and what Scorpio has inside of you, when you guys let it out, it's actually really productive and really helpful to people around you. You guys are very smart, very supportive, very intuitive, and you know what to do. So right now you're being asked to follow your instinct, follow your gut, and address things that need to be addressed. Okay. All right, so now we have Sagittarius. Let's go ahead and see what insight, advice, and guidance we have for the sign of Sagittarius for Aquarius season, specifically with regards to being more conscious and how to bear that consciousness gracefully. All right, Sagittarius, Sagittarius, Sagittarius. Page of Swords. So Sagittarius, I think that this is a really good time for you to take up a skill, take up a hobby. Like, the way that the Aquarius energy is to me right now is, if you look at the sword as that air energy, that really strong air energy that's coming to you, at the very end we have the conclusion, we have Aquarius, right, as the King of Swords. And so I think it's important right now to learn how to practice using your voice. I mean, not that Sagittarius typically has a problem with that, but what I want to say is, like, take up a skill. Try to learn something new right now, Sagittarius. Do something that's going to you guys are the most mentally stimulated, I think, of all the fire signs. So you need a way to express that, and you need an outlet for all that mental energy going on in your head. I would say, if you need to talk to some people, talk to them. I don't think this is about telling people off necessarily, but it might be about consulting a counselor, speaking to a grandmother, or just allowing the mental energy that's going around in your head to be expressed and to let it out in some kind of way. I would definitely advise channeling it through writing, if something you're into, videos, whatever you need to do where you speak it, where you express it. There's energy, Aquarius, Sagittarius, that's gonna need to come out of you. You guys are similar to Aquarius in that optimistic way, in that vision, right, that you guys have. So I think it's very important this Aquarius season, Sagittarius, to express yourself clearly, let if you're going to communicate, the danger here with the Page of Swords is that the communication is ineffective and that it's unpolished and that you're not actually going to get your point across well. So that's why I think writing could be a good exercise, because it allows you to think clearly about what you want to say. It allows you to refine what you have to say and polish it. So that, Sagittarius, I would say, if you do have any important conversations you need to have, or if just journaling, I think journaling will be good for you, Sagittarius, because it gets the thoughts out of your head. And I think it's really important for you right now to become mentally grounded. And that doesn't mean emphasis on the material world. It means figure out a way to get all that mental energy out of you, and get that mental energy situated in a way that makes sense to you, because like when you write things on a page, it almost like makes your thoughts orderly and it gets it out of you at the same time. So ordering your thoughts is super important, because next we have manifestation. And so Sagittarius, there's opportunity here for you right now to start creating the future self that you're going to be. I think that's why it's important for you right now to have a clear head, and I think it's important for you to pave the way. You see the way this is a spiral? I almost feel like it's like you're at this point in the beginning of the spiral, and the growth is just going to come out of you. And that I think going forward out of Aquarius season into the rest of the year, there's going to be a lot of new opportunity for you to develop as a person, to expand and evolve and become greater, and to have lots of gifts coming your way, right? We do have your ruling planet in your sign. Lucky, lucky, lucky Sagittarius. But you can't be lucky. You can't manifest what you want when you have a tornado going around in your head. So Sagittarius, this Aquarius season, practice writing, get your thoughts out in an orderly way that makes sense to you and that gets it out of your head, so it's not like swirling around in there like a whirlwind. Okay. All right. And last but not least, we have the sign of Capricorn. Let's see what advice, insight, and guidance we have for Capricorn for Aquarius season. Particularly with regards to being more conscious and bearing that consciousness gracefully. Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. Ten of Wands. So, what a Capricorn thing to say, huh? How do you be more conscious and bear it gracefully? You gotta work, Capricorn. This is right up your guys' alley. Taking on responsibility is actually really healthy for you. This is almost similar to the sign that comes next to you, the sign we're talking about, Aquarius, where there's actually a need to channel all this mental energy into something productive, to bring it into make something practical. I think that you guys could get very overwhelmed by too much thought, and I think that actually taking on responsibility, doing a lot of hard work, focusing on your goals could be really good. I last time I read it for Sagittarius, this card came up, and this is hard for Sagittarius energy because they're so mental already that like this becomes a burden. This is like too much on their backs and they need support. Capricorn, I think that you guys have the wherewithal to bear this, to carry the weight of your ambitions and your will and take action. Capricorn, Aquarius season is really good for you to take action. I think it's going to facilitate actually. It's almost like as if the vision I just got in my head is of like someone carrying this bundle of wands, and like a big wind comes behind them and kind of lifts them forward and lifts them up and actually makes it easier to bear. So Capricorn, the best of this card I think is going to be expressed for you in Aquarius season, where you get to now do all this great stuff, and it's not going to be too heavy for you, that it's actually going to be you're going to feel driven forward. You're going to feel motivated and inspired to get shit done and to give back. That's another thing I want to say. Contribute to the world around you. Contribute to your loved ones. Contribute to your workplace. Kind of give very strongly of yourself this Aquarius season, and that's going to help you guys accomplish a lot. Like, this is a weirdly positive card for Capricorn, I think. It's what you guys need to do to stay focused and stay grounded. Too much air for an earth sign could go sideways. It could become cynicism. It could become anger. It could become like lashing out at people, or just driving yourself fucking crazy with overanalyzing and overthinking. So Capricorn, put some work in it, and you see, fire. So this is about moving, making things happen, letting that energy out of you in a positive way that's constructive, being really ambitious right now, Capricorn. Use that Aquarian energy to not overthink, but to stretch the limits of your imagination of what's possible, to get like the kindling of your ambition, to get it lit, that fire in the belly right now. driven energy, Capricorn, really motivated, really inspired, really like ready to just go forward. And that Aquarius energy, the using your mind productively, right? You can take that big Aquarius energy, that big mental intellect, and channel it into making things come true for yourself, into manifesting, into building, right? This is a big season for you, Capricorn, to build for your future, and to get fired up and get ambitious and make shit happen. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful. In the description again, I'll have the name of the cards I'm using, private readings. Follow me on Instagram. I'm posting a lot of tarot related content these days, so follow me there, and also some cute pictures. Anything else? PayPal donations, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate. Every little bit helps and keeps this channel running and keeps my chutzpah up, so go ahead and leave it there. But guys, I hope you have a really great Aquarius season. There's a lot of different energies for all the different signs based on the readings we had here, and I just think it's important for everybody to keep your eye on the future, to think big, right? Think big this Aquarius season. Even if your advice in the cards were to pull back and to not think too much, in that space where you're resting and pulling back, it's okay to daydream and imagine. Daydream, right? That's a big word for Aquarius season. Go ahead and daydream and be ready to make shit happen and get inspired. All right, guys. I love you so much. I'll talk to you soon. You take care.